So your Nigerian traditional marriage is fast approaching, and your groom or your bride is from Delta State, specifically the urhobo or isoko speaking parts of Delta State. Well, you need to watch this video before you go ahead and plan that traditional marriage. Hi guys, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elo, and as my channel implies, this is my digital diary where I document life precious moments with you. So go ahead and hit on that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever I post new videos. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you the things you need to look at for before you go ahead and plan your traditional marriage. So traditional marriage are very important aspect of the Nigerian culture. Some school of thought have argued that the traditional marriage is the most recognized outside the white wedding. For clarity's sake, I'm from Delta State. I'm from Isoko North to be precise. So it is based on my recent experience from my traditional marriage. I'll be sharing with you the most important aspects that you need to focus on while planning your Nigerian traditional marriage, specifically your urhobo and isoko traditional marriage. Well, let me state this here. There are some similarities and differences when it comes to the urhobo and isoko culture in terms of traditional marriage, and I'll be stating that here as we go along in this video. So let's just dive right into the most important aspect you need to consider before planning your Nigerian traditional marriage. The first aspect that is very important after the bride and groom or the girl and the boy have come together and they've agreed that they are going to get married, the first aspect is the introduction. This is very, very important because this is where the two families will be meeting for the first time, and you do not just come. It's not just come empty-handed. I'm talking to the groom right now because you are the one coming to marry. You are the one coming to marry a wife. So you do not just come empty-handed. It is expected of you to come with your family members, especially your mother and your father, and some elderly people from both your father and your mother's side, just to represent that you are not standing alone, that you are from a home, you are from a family. That will show your prospective in-laws that yes, this guy is actually from a home and it's not just falling from the sky. Also, that kind of accord a certain level of respect to your prospective in-laws, because coming alone to come and marry their daughter, it seems like this guy does not have respect, and that's not something that you want to show from the very beginning. So talking about the introduction, when you're coming for the introduction, it's expected that you come with drinks, hot drinks, soft drink, cola nut. It is very, very, very important because that is what will be presented as a form of entertainment. And during the introduction, it is expected that whatever your prospective in-laws use in entertaining you in terms of money, in terms of drinks, in terms of cola nut, it is expected that you, the groom, and your family, you are expected to double it. So for instance, your prospective bride's family entertains you with the sum of 200 naira and 7 bottles of drinks and 2 cola nuts. It's expected that that drink, that cola nut, is expected that you double that number that has been presented to you. It is very important because you have to show that. I think the reason for that is to show that you are capable of marrying and taking care of that daughter. So that's one first that's the first aspect when it comes to introduction. So I must quickly state that aside the fact of both families coming together to formally meet and know each other for the first time, the introduction is also an avenue for both families to pick what is called the list. In every traditional marriage, there's something called the list, and it's also for both families to discuss not really discuss, to know the requirements for the traditional marriage. And this takes me to my number 2 points, which is the list. Now, the list is very, very important part of the traditional marriage requirements. The list contains requirements for the traditional marriage, those important things that you need to fulfill the traditional marriage rights. Now, let me quickly backtrack a little bit to while I was doing my introduction. Now, in the Isoko culture, the list is not given by the family. Yes, I know this is going to sound crazy, but the bride's family is not the ones that prepared the list. No, I was shocked myself, but yes, that was a shocker during my introduction. The list was actually prepared by the community. My community actually gave my husband the list, so you can call me a community child. Yes, as funny as that may sound, the list was given by my community. If you are an Isoko girl planning your traditional marriage, or you are somebody that wants to get married to somebody from the Isoko speaking part of Delta State, you must take note that when you come for your introduction, you are going to pay a certain amount of money to the community. So be prepared. Be prepared. Now, if I can remember vividly, that's my list. Yes, that's my community list. One of the requirements that my husband was meant to bring was 3 bags of salt, which should be shared to the mother's side, my mother's side of the family, my father's side of the family, and I think the last one is for the community women. Yes, and there was palm wine, and also there was hot drink, which I refer to as ogogoro in my place. So these were some of the things I can remember. And then another very important item on that list was a goat, a big female goat. Now, this list, I must point out here, varies from community to community. In the place where I'm from, in Delta State, Isoko North, urhobo to be precise, is the community that gives the list. And again, this list can be negotiated. Yes. So this list, you can decide to negotiate the items on the list on that day of the introduction, or your family can decide to come back. Your father can lead this meeting, can lead this negotiation, come back, and you sit down, both fathers sit together and they discuss, this is what you can afford and this is what you can't afford. It's not a hard and fast rule that when they give you list, you start going everywhere to look for money, try to borrow money, try to please your in-laws to be. No, the list is negotiated, and during mine we monetize every item on that list, apart from some specific items that we brought during the traditional marriage. And as I must point out here that we are not based in Delta State. My husband and I are not based in Delta State, just my parents that were based in Delta State, and my husband's family are not even based in Delta State. Despite the fact that he's urhobo and some Delta State with me, they were not based in Delta State, so they had to travel down. So all of that just to avoid all this going back and forth, traveling on the road, the high cost of transportation, and all of that things we had to factor in. We had to monetize those items on the list, apart from some very few key notable items like the bag of salt, the palm wine, cola nuts, those small items that we had to present physically. It may differ in your family, may not accept monetization of the list, but I believe in this time and age that we are, it's open for negotiation. So that is something that the list is always open for negotiation. Now, away from the list is speaking of dates for the traditional marriage. Now, you must put into consideration the market days while picking a date for your traditional marriage. Falls on a market day, there's nothing much that can be done. The key women in the community may not be able to come and welcome your wife, bring her to your wife. So you have to put all of that market days into consideration. I, for one, while I was speaking when we agreed for the dates of our traditional marriage, thankfully it wasn't on a market day, despite the fact that it was on a Saturday, but it wasn't. But I can remember when my younger brother did his traditional marriage, and the date he earlier picked fell on a market day. They had to shift it because you need to put all of these things into consideration. So another aspect that you need to put into consideration while planning and preparing for your Nigerian traditional marriage is the dates. It is very, very important for the community, especially if you are doing your marriage in the community. If you are doing it in your village, you have to put that into consideration. But if you are not, then that can be overlooked. Now, another very important aspect that you need to consider while planning for your Nigerian traditional marriage is your dressing. Now, in the urhobo and isoko culture, it's expected that the woman ties two wrapper. Yes, you have to tie two wrapper. Especially from where I'm from, in my village, you have to tie two wrapper, and it's going to be a George fabric. Your husband is going to tie a wrapper, and the woman is expected to dress into wrapper. So forget all those your all those your Vicky Jane style that you have been saving up. Although you can do that, because some people dress twice. They come out to greet their in-laws, then before they come out properly to the crowd. But it's expected that the man and the woman dress in the traditional attire of the community, which was also stated in my list. A quick story: I did not tie to wrapper. When I finally came out to present it to my husband, I was fine. My father had to pay some certain amount of money for them to just let me be and continue. So you want to take that into consideration and just do what is expected. Now, before I go further into the next point, I must point out here that during the introduction, I forgot to say this, that during the introduction, in my culture, in the isoko culture, the supposed or prospective bride will not be brought out to see the groom, the prospective groom and the family. No, during my introduction, I was not brought out at all. I didn't even come out to see what my father-in-law looked like or what my mother-in-law looked like. I did not come out, because in fact it caused a big issue on that day, because a lot of, even my father was not aware that I wasn't supposed to come out on that day of the introduction. Now, for some other culture like urhobo, it's expected that the bride will be presented, the bride to be presented, and we ask certain question: is this the man you want to marry? He has come with his family. Should we take drinks and all of that? It is accepted in urhobo culture, but in isoko, no, 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 no. All of that question will be answered during your traditional marriage day. The day that you are coming to pay your bride price. That is the day that you be presented. So for me, it was the day that we picked as our traditional marriage day. During this ceremony, when I was presented, that was when I was asked those questions: is this the man you want to get married to? 3 times, and for those 3 times you have to do shakara for the first 2 times, so, and say no. You not even look at your husband's face, even though you have been seeing him. First of all, do shakara for them. The third time you now agree and say yes. That is when everybody will say hey, and they'll accept the drink and drink, even though they've been drinking before. But that's what makes culture interesting. So I digress. I had to state that. So guys, I'm going to end this video here because it's already getting long, and I'm going to put a part 2 of this video of the things you need to look out for while planning your Nigerian traditional marriage, specifically if you are from the Delta speaking parts of Nigeria.